Welcome back to my channel. Today we will be continuing the deep dive series of the intriguing creatures called Snorbblers, which have often been seen in Lumbago's short-form videos and possibly in comment sections. This series is intended to educate people on what these creatures are and their intriguing history that led up to how they are today. If you haven't watched the first part, I recommend you do that first, as it contains necessary information to understand the information provided in this one. The first video is also posted on my channel. Now, with that out of the way, let's get right into the video. As the last video ended, the Snorbblers have finally found a safe haven location free from predators where they intend to build shelters and settle in. Snittler, Snortifer, Dank, Snorton and Paolo all have become popular local figures at this point, earning widespread praise from the dugongs, sea cows and other Snorbblers. In addition, they have become extremely wealthy, possessing tons of jewels and other luxurious items. Snittler used this money to continue his pursuit in law university, while Dank spent his money to fund the construction of shelter within Area 1. Snortifer, seeking to colonize new areas, spent lots of his money into technological advancements, while Paolo and Snorton kept their wealth. In just a couple of years, the Snorblers' progress on the construction of housing was almost fully finished, and even left room for new types of buildings which were denominated as schooling facilities, schools, and research and coordination offices, workplaces. In addition, the safety brought the rise and invention of a language called English by the sea cows, which was a variation of the Mandarin they learned from the Chinese. Some Snorblers were hesitant to change for all of this, but the vast majority happily accepted the development and started engaging in various jobs offered by the dugong elders. The dugong elders quickly made a basic economic system consisting of the exchange of seashells, fueling the job market. Feudalism was also a widely talked about practice, but the dugong elders voted against it. However, their impulsive and speedy development once again had a major consequence. As seashells were a very common sea artifact, it appeared that many other sea species, such as stingrays, also use seashells for their economy. Why is this a problem, you ask? Well, the Snorblers' economy depended on the fact that the seashells had a set value. For example, one seashell would equal one piece of seaweed. However, if there was to be a sudden influx of seashells in their haven, it would cause mass inflation of the seashell, and tons of Snorblers would be shoved into poverty. And sure enough, the stingrays were smart enough to know this. On October 4th, 4494 BCE, the stingrays launched multiple ballistic natural explosives into Area 1, deforming and blasting parts of the walls away in mere seconds. Using the smoke as a guide, the stingrays invaded the confused Snorblers' territory, dumping bags upon bags of seashells into Area 1 before escaping and sealing the dome shut. The Snorblers, being confused, stumbled around cluelessly before finding the seashells. Seeing this, their eyes lit up with joy. Snorton, this must be a blessing from God. Not knowing the dangers that this would bring, the Snorbblers went into constant celebration for 3 days straight. Soon, the damage the stingrays dealt was obvious. The pricing of necessary goods like lettuce and seaweed were now 6 seashells instead of 1. Those who didn't pick up the seashells on the ground were now unable to buy products needed for survival, leading to a major economic recession for the species. Homelessness started to run rampant as prices for everything were up, not to mention mass unemployment. The Snorblers and dugong elders were absolutely devastated. Seeing the desperation and vulnerability that plagued the streets of Area 1, a spark grew in Snittler's mind. What if he could use this tragic event to his advantage? What if, by the luck of God, he could finally exercise his dreams of becoming a political figure through the need for a better economy? And besides, this was his only chance. Even after spending all that money into joining a profound law school, they turned him down, claiming he needed just a little more practice. He couldn't become a political figure if the country didn't need any saving. So, Snittler wasted no time. He started giving public speeches near benches and trafficked walkways, denouncing the now overthrown government that he claimed caused the mass poverty. This quickly gained traction from the public, which served to build onto his already established fame. The masses saw him as an extremely charismatic and genuine leader, which led to multiple articles denominating him as the savior of Area 1. At first, his speeches were just common sense. He claimed that the citizens of Area 1 should not take this mistreatment and should fight back for their country. He claimed that Area 1 had to establish more businesses and redistribute and revalue their currency, which was now seashells, in order to fix their issues. And without more than a year passing, thanks to the publicity and charisma he had, Snittler was already in office as the official chancellor of Area 1. Surprisingly, the Snorbblers' last-ditch effort to elect Snittler seemed to work. Many new extremely profitable businesses were formed under the new BBB party, which stands for the Backstreet Backhanded Band. And there was a proper wealth distribution among the Snorbblers, dugongs and sea cows, leading to the eradication of the first economic recession in their history. Snittler was cheered and his BBB flags were waved everywhere, signifying his requested never-ending rule of Area 1. Now, Snittler had the masses. It was never really his goal to restore Area 1 to greatness and for them to escape the recession. Instead, it was a necessary event for him to gain the power necessary to enforce his true ideas. Genocide. Feeling wronged and abused his whole life by Snorbblers who beat him as a child, bullied him, and rejected him from his dream school, Snittler seemed to get revenge on them by exterminating their whole kind. Snittler quickly gave public speeches and wrote books speaking of his abuse and the cruelties of the Snorbblers, spreading his racist beliefs to the Snorbblers. In addition, any Snorbler who tried speaking out on his inherent racism was quickly silenced and sent to the Gulag. Finally, Snittler's beliefs about the Snorbblers infected his supporters who thought he must be right after he basically saved Area 1. With accusations of cruelty, abuse, and even causing the economic recession in Area 1, which was really the Stingray's fault, all being pinned on the Snorblers, they were quickly looked down upon by the masses. Now, with everyone in Area 1 blindly following him, Snittler enacted dozens of anti-single B laws and policies which blatantly discriminated against them and gave them unfair challenges when trying to survive. These were all under the guise of Jim Snorb laws, which claimed that this was the necessary compensation for all of the Snorblers' wrongdoings. This continued for 4 years through Snittler's dictatorship. Eventually, through massive amounts of toil and struggle, the Snorblers finally became wealthy against their blockades and obstacles, and there was even a slight decrease in the shame that was associated with their name. But just as they thought they escaped Snittler's racist onslaught, he dropped the true bombshell. Snittler enacted laws that said that single BS should not just be discriminated against, but full-on exterminated. He legalized and forced his military to start scouring and capturing any Snorbler in their sight, including kids and elders, and putting them in concentration camps, gas chambers, torture chambers, or just flat-out publicly executed. This was the start of the now infamous Snorlacost. And with that, the second part of the fascinating history of Snorblers series is officially over. I hope this video served its purpose to you of being an educational and informative video on the history of these intriguing creatures and gave you some new insight on them. There will be more parts to this series that will be released on my channel in the near future, including the effects and the end of the Snorlacost, so please stay tuned if you have the time. For now, peace out. Sincerely, GoatedKingAubreyDrizzyDrake and Lumbago.